Occasionally you'd have bad weather, you couldn't be avoided. Some of the worst was called a white squall. It would be a squall line that would come. It would whip up, the water would be churning white, and it would surf in white caps, and the rain would be white coming down sideways. You could hardly see anything. It would start to get rough and just awful. But it would only last 10 or 15 or 20 minutes and it would pass. But there were worse things too. One time I remember being out, I was only 11 years old, and we were out catching tuna fish, small ones, 20 to 25 pounds, with a charter that was a bunch of Italians. I knew that because they couldn't speak English. And I was too small to work the deck on the boat, so my father worked the deck and I was up on top steering. My father would give commands. So we'd be going into the wind and we'd catch a few tuna fish, and my father would say, okay, I'll turn the boat around and go over the same spot again with the wind. Now at this time, the wind was picking up, starting to rain. The waves were getting big, really big. And we'd catch a few more fish and he'd say, okay, turn around and go with the wind. And turning around the boat in those big waves, it was a little bit tough. You almost roll, it felt like you were going to roll over. Well, then we'd go into the wind for a while, and it looked like the waves were going to come over the bow. And we'd get a few strikes, he'd holler, slow the boat down, and we'd slow the boat down, and they'd pull in the fish, and then we'd continue on. And then he'd say, okay, turn around and go with the sea. And we'd go with the sea, and it was just terrible turning around, and then we'd catch a few more fish. This went on, turn the boat around, catch a few more fish, and the waves were getting bigger. They looked like they were going to come over the bow. And I was only a little kid, 11 years old. I was pretty scared. But when we were done fishing, my father came over and took over steering, and I felt much better. And he didn't seem to mind it at all, like it was nothing happened. Until the next day we woke up, and Hurricane Carol had just made landfall. We lived on the near the waterfront, and we had to be evacuated from our house. Spent the day at the Silver Lake Hotel on Grove Street.